Welcome to Ritual Scale Modelling. This is part 2 of AMT's Star Wars Stap and Battle Droid. Scale is 1 to 6. In part 1 I went through the sprues. If you remember, I bought this kit without the box, just the actual kit itself, at a very discounted price. So I just had the bags with the sprues in it. Now the bags are sealed, but a lot of the stuff was off the sprue. And also the kit didn't come with any instructions, so I've had to source them off online. I will put up a link the website I used. I think it's only fair since I used them to give them a little bit of push towards them. It's free to use, so you can have a look at that at your leisure. So in part 2 I'm going to be starting the build, starting off with the painting and going on from there. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. So as you can see, I've primed everything and I've primed it in white. And to begin the painting, I'm painting the base colour in Humbrol 71 Oak. So this is going to take a few coats. I'm just applying some of the finishing coats to that. I've already done the legs and that you can see there. I'm just putting on some final little touches very lightly with my brush until I'm happy with the colour. Now I've got the base here, and instead of painting it, I'm going to put on the fake grass. So I need to put a bit of white glue on here. This glue has been sitting in this jar for quite a while. It's a little bit tacky, so it will still work, but if it goes any more than that, I won't be able to use it. But I thought I would just include it to show you old glue can work, depending how tacky it is. So I'm just smearing this all over the edges first of all. I'll then take the fake grass and just sprinkle on. Now this stuff you can buy online, model shops and things like that. It's all for diorama sets. They come in different shades and things like that. Now to be honest with you, this is quite a dark green. I should have done it in a lighter green respectively. But this is the one that came to hand. So the same process is going to be applied all over the base. A little bit of white glue and then placing some of the fake grass on it. And it will take quite a while for it to dry. You can get some of this white PVA glue, water it down a little bit, and you can use it in a spray ball. That way you can spray the glue directly onto the surface, and it will take next to no time then to cover it. So I'll leave this to dry. I fully expect some of it to fall off. I'll deal with that when the time comes. So it's back to the main build, and the first parts I'm assembling is the neck for the droid. There's a couple of parts to this, and it's purely designed so that everything can move. And I would suggest if you're building this model, make sure that you have got free movement on these parts. The reason for that is when you're mounting it on the Stap, you want that bit of movement to do that, because it can be a real pain in the backside otherwise. But that's way down the line. So to start off though, make sure it does have free movement, and it is easy enough to do. There's very little cement involved, and none of the cement goes anywhere near the actual parts that are going to be moving. The head assembly is fairly simple. The location points, just push in. You can get away with not putting any cement in here, but I always recommend it, even though it's a snap kit. Sometimes the fit aren't brilliant, so it's better to shore it up with a little bit of cement if you're confident enough. Once the head's in place, it's time to fit the neck. Now, don't place on the back of the head area until the neck support is in place. You'll find it rather difficult to fit otherwise, whereas this way the neck can go in and then the back of the head part can go on straight after. Moving on to the back section of the body and the radio pack. First of all, the antenna goes in. Now ideally I would have liked to have fitted these near the end, because they are prone to snapping, but it's designed in such a way you have to fit them now. So before you place the two main pieces together, the area goes in, and then the two pieces then can get pushed in. It's also important to dry fit these as well, because I really had to press down hard on the aerial piece to get everything to fit. Moving on to the bottom section of the body, this part is where the legs will be attached. First of all, this barrel shaped part has to be fitted. Again, the two halves are together, but do not be tempted to cement the two ball joints that I'm just clamping up there. Now, I've only clamped them just so I can hold the barrel together. Those parts do not have any cement on them, and they'll spring back open when I take the clamp off. That is very important. Next is the main part of the body, and again, this has free movement, so it goes inside before you put the two parts together. So I'm just lining that up there, making sure that I've got enough room to get everything in. Use a very small adapter to put your cement on here, because you really don't want it to encroach onto the barrel piece, because that whole section should move. Onto the arms now. The arms are again have to have movement in the elbow area and the shoulder area, so just be aware of that when you're building them up. The only thing you've really got to note here is the angle that these parts that I'm placing in now. They're very specific for the left and right arm. So, and it's not very clear on the instructions which part's which. So, dry fit them until you're 100% sure you know exactly how it's going to go. Because once they're built, they look like they're at a weird angle. It's all explained once they're fitted onto the Stap and the Droid itself, but it just looks like they're twisted at the moment, but they need that angle so it looks right when it's gripping the handlebars. The ratchet part that you see on the arm there, that's the moving part, and on the corresponding side there's a flat piece with a tiny little slither of plastic which catches onto the ratchet part, making the locking mechanism for moving the arm. So it is vital that you don't get any cement on it. You will need cement right in the centre though, where I just put it. So again, be very careful with your placement. And once I'm happy that everything is going to work, it's then time to assemble. And the assembling part is really quite easy. It's just getting to know where all these contact points are that are going to be moving. Again, this is why dry fitting is essential on this particular build. I'm using Revol Aquilon 91 steel here, and this is for the push bar on the arm. Now, it's not really necessary to paint them in this colour. In fact, I think in the movies it's all one solid colour, but I thought I'd paint it in just to give it a bit of contrast. And some of the pictures I've looked online have these in different colours anyway. So it's like anything, it's open to interpretation. But I quite like the idea of having the bare metal contrast. And it's the same with the aerials as well. I thought, well, I've got the steel colour out, I may as well paint these aerials. There's a couple of these U-shaped bars that I'm making up. There's just two halves placed together. Now these are the stabilising parts for the legs from the body to the leg, I should say. These won't be getting used until a little bit later on down the line, but the instructions say make them up now. Onto the legs, they've got a little sub-assemblies to do before I put the legs together. There's I've got little grates or vents, whatever they are, have to go on. Now you can actually place this in once the legs are made up, but I decided to do it this way just because it looked a little bit easier, and it just aids to the lining up of the leg section. To attach the lower half of the leg, that's another movable part, so the has to be assembled onto the part. So first one half goes in and gets attached, making sure that it's in position before I can then place the top half on and press down. Again, making sure that none of the cement is actually going to go on to the contact points there. You can find it easier doing it this way, with taking it off and placing it on, but you're in danger of pushing the cement onto the actual movement part. And this is what happened on this one. The other one I did it the proper way. This one, once after I clamped it up, a little bit of the cement got onto the movable part, so I had to use a little bit of force to get it to move. So as you can see, I've moved on to the main body. After putting in the two pin sockets for the arms, it's time to close up the body. Now you can actually put in the head and shoulder unit in first if you like. It makes it a little bit more difficult though, but the instructions do ask you to do that before closing it up. I found it easier to close up the body first. Then once that was in, I was then just able to push in the neck area and still obtaining the movement of the neck. There are a couple of little latches that it hooks onto. Then the back piece goes on to stabilise the joint. Tiny amounts of cement here just to close it all up. And then when I put in this piece, it just slots in. It's quite a nice little fit. Just putting the cement in as I go on the back part, so I'm not going to be encroaching on the movement mechanism. And the last thing I'm going to be doing for this part 2, is placing on the battery pack, and that's just gets pushed onto the back. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? If you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. That way you'll be kept up to date with all my builds. Hit that like button. Feel free to leave a comment, and of course you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.